Hi folks. Well, I'm still tinkering away with this Cub Cadet here. Still have a problem going on here. This isn't the problem with it smoking, but I've run into another problem too that I've been trying to figure out. The unit you see here, this shaft, is the hydro drive shaft. On this particular model, it's not a belt, it's a solid drive shaft. And then this is the transmission here, the hydro pump, the automatic transmission, so to speak, of the tractor. The issue I'm having is this bracket goes on that side like that, and it connects through these flexible rubber connectors here. These they call them flex connectors. That's so that when the transmission goes to engage, it has some give so that it's not as hard on the shaft or the transmission. But what's happening is, and I had this problem before with this, and I replaced both of these connectors and the bushing, the bushing that sits in there, and it solved the problem for a while. But what's happening is, you can see there right on the top of that's the hydraulic oil filter. One of the bolts that connects these rubber bushings onto this connector, the head of the bolt was hitting that filter, and also the underside of one of these hydraulic lines. These are the hydraulic lines going front to the lift cylinder. That's on this particular model. This is what raises and lowers the mower deck. It's not a handle, it's hydraulic. And these two lines run the hydraulic fluid. There's the piston to raise it up and down, so that you don't have to manually raise and lower the mower deck. But what's happening is, like I said, I'm hitting what I shouldn't be hitting with the bolts here. There's something wrong with the shaft. It's not lined up properly. Something's worn. There's too much give. I can hear it when I'm running fast, because you can hear metal on metal. If I don't do anything about it, I'll end up punching through that one hydraulic line and have to replace it. This drive shaft goes up into the motor here, and you can see on the front there, front of the drive shaft, there's another connector and another flex couplers, pair of flex couplers. I don't know if maybe those are bad, that I need to replace them too. I'm not sure at this point, but I'm just going to try to take everything apart. I have it apart this far, and then try to see what I can do, examine everything a bit more carefully, and then put it all back together and see if that solves the problem. If I need to get a new pair of flex couplers, that's not a big problem, not a big expense. But this is a pain in the neck. This tractor's been down now for weeks. First I had the smoking problem, which hasn't been resolved, but the tractor still worked fine even with that. But this I can't use a tractor like this. The last time I had this problem, what actually happened is, this bushing in here wore out, and that sagged the drive shaft down enough that it actually cut the top of the old hydraulic oil filter, cut a hole in it, and the hydraulic oil was squirting out and spraying everywhere. So that wasn't any good. So I don't know if I have a similar problem now again, or if I've developed a new problem. It's something I've never faced before, of course. But if I can fix it myself, it's a whole lot cheaper than trying to get another mower. I've been looking online for, Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace to see if there was anything, and I missed out on a couple really decent ones for good prices, but they didn't last too long. But most of what's out there is absolute junk I wouldn't waste my money on. So if I can fix this and get another few years out of it, that's preferable. But for now, I'm trying to do more mowing with the brush hog on back of the Alice 14, D14, and then the rest is all push mowing, which takes hours. So my preference is to get this all fixed. Plus, I need this tractor for a lot more than mowing. I use the dump cart to haul wood and so on, so I've got to get that all fixed. Fixed or replaced, one or the other. So we'll see what happens. But this is my latest project on this, and I'm just showing it in the stage of it mostly taken apart. This little fan here is actually a cooling fan for the hydraulic pump, the transmission, the automatic transmission, so to speak. And it just bolts right through the shaft, the drive shaft here, and as it spins the fan, so that's what keeps it cool. But it was in my way to work, so I had to take the bolt out and slide it up the shaft a bit so I could get at it. But that's the purpose of this fan in here. It's a kind of an interesting engineering solution, that you didn't have to have a separate fan that worked off the battery or worked off the engine, so to speak, that it was its own unit. It fits right over the drive shaft. When the drive shaft spins, the fan spins and it blows the air, so it does the job. So at any rate, that's what I'm working on right now with the Cub, and I'll get back to you when I either have it together or figured out what my problem was, or I put it out of its misery, one or the other. So thank you for watching. Okay, next phase complete with this repair. I managed to get the drive shaft completely disconnected. The front was the part that wasn't disconnected before. Now I took 4 bolts out, and I have the old flex couplers here. They don't look too bad, but maybe they're worn enough that was causing my problem. I'll have to take him to the dealer and see what he seems to think, that if that's what I need is just a new set of flex couplers. They just bolt on to this connector here. That's connected to the drive shaft with this roll pin here, you can see, and then this goes into the front bushing there by the bracket that holds it onto, I guess that's the flywheel down in there. So, and then those 2 bolts don't really come out. They're the ones that stick back through the flex coupler. So it was a little tricky trying to get wrenches down there to get those bolts out, but I did. So I've got everything taken apart now. Now the question is, what am I not seeing that I need to replace on it? The bushing that's in the front there does move around a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's too worn. So, and if you look in the front of the drive shaft here, oops, it doesn't look too worn there where that it sits in the bushing. And then the rear part of the drive shaft here, of course, it goes into the hydro pump, or the automatic transmission. Basically, that doesn't look too worn either, and then the bushing is not on there, it's actually in here in the connector. So I'm still a little bit stumped, but maybe the easiest thing for me to do is take the whole assembly to the dealer and say, okay, what parts need to be replaced? I don't know, but we'll have to see. So that's my next move, is trying to figure out what I need to replace on this before I try to put it all back together, and then see if that doesn't solve my problem. So it wasn't too difficult of a job to do, just taking some bolts out and just remembering the sequence. Those roll pins can be a little tricky, but I've learned how to do those, and we'll see what happens. So thanks for watching, and we'll give you a follow-up report hopefully when things are fixed.